Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name's Alicia and I'm the owner of Alicia Be Creative. In today's tutorial we are going to be making this super cute sunset beach cup. I figured that since we are gearing up towards warmer weather and finally some sunshine, many of us will be making some beach trips this summer. So why not take along with you your favorite beach cup to keep your beverages cold all day long. Of course, everything I talk about in today's tutorial will be listed and linked in the description down below. Should you have any questions or comments about today's video, also feel free to leave those in the comment section and I'll be happy to respond to each and every one when I get the opportunity. If you haven't already, hop on over to Facebook and join our brand new Facebook group, LBC Community, where we share tutorials, giveaways, tips and tricks, and more. I'd love to see you over there. And then finally, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel as well as hit that notification bell so that you know when I post my next video. Videos are posted every Saturday and you don't want to miss what I have to come. All right, I feel like that's enough for us. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I have a 20-ounce regular from Maker Flow Crafts, and I'm going to start by creating the ombre for the Sunset Beach Cup. So right now I have a gold metallic paint from Rust-Oleum, and I'm just going to go over getting full coverage on the very bottom of the tumbler and just about an inch or so of the bottom of the cup. And again, this will be the sand for the Sunset Beach. So as you can see, I'm doing kind of short spurts. I have my spray paint can about 6 to 8 inches away from my cup to make sure that the spray is fanning and not creating any drips. So now that I'm finished with the gold, I'm going to go in with a baby ice blue. I believe this is a Krylon spray paint that I picked up from Walmart. And what I'm going to do next is I am going to create the second layer. So I'm making sure before I started, which I didn't mention, is I shake my cans for about a minute or so each to make sure that all of the paint inside of the cans is completely shaken and that there isn't any issues with it clumping or creating any sort of weird streaks or blots all over my cup. So now I'm going in again with those short spurts as I turn and rotate the tumbler. And with the blue, I'm going to cover probably about a third of the cup. And you'll see why as I kind of go through the spray painting process. But so I'm going to cover about a third of the cup. I'm going to make sure that my blue paint meets my metallic and then it goes up almost to the very top of the cup. So going completely around the cup until I have coverage, full coverage of the blue. And then next what we're going to do is we are going to go with a satin coral paint, again from Rust-Oleum. I absolutely love the Rust-Oleum paints. Those are probably my favorite ones to use. I do have some Krylon and a couple other fluorescents, I believe, from another brand, but I just love the Rust-Oleum brand. They're just so easy to work with and I never really have any issues. So with the coral spray paint, again, I'm doing the exact same thing that I did with the other two colors. And right now I'm just making sure that I'm getting full coverage on the very top of that cup where the rest of the stainless steel is, and then I am trying to fan and blend into the blue section. Again, short spurts, rotating my cup and making sure that I'm getting the paint evenly distributed and that it's not creating any drips or anything of the sort. So now that the coral is done, now this is why I did the blue section so large. So with this fluorescent pink from Krylon, what we're going to do is we are going to put the pink in between the coral and the blue color. So the reason for this is that if you notice in the Sunset Beach Cup picture that there is some purple there. So I don't use any purple on this cup whatsoever, but how I create that purple color is by using this fluorescent pink paint and blending that and putting that smack dab in the middle of where both the icy blue and the coral paints meet. So again, I am going through and just fanning in that middle area, taking my time. You know, spray painting isn't something that you should rush through. Definitely take your time and make sure that you've shaken your cans well. When you don't shake your cans well, that's where you kind of run into those issues where your paint will drip. or create clumps and things on your cup, which then obviously becomes a headache when you go to glitter. So now just to finish things up, I'm going back in with the icy blue, and I'm gonna go and cover that same blue section again because some of my pink had kind of splattered into my blue, but I also want the blue to come up to where the pink is to establish that purple color on my ombre. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how we are going to glitter this ombre cup. So what you didn't see is I mixed up about 5 mLs of epoxy, and I put about less than 1 ml of epoxy on this cup. In order to make that 1 ml stretch the length of the cup, what I do is I place my cup in front of my heater just for a few minutes, maybe 45 seconds to a minute, and then the epoxy glides on super smooth, and I'm able to get that completely covered with less than 1 ml of that epoxy. So I just went in with Athena, which is from Peachy Olive Glitters, and what I'm doing with my chunkier colors is I'm just establishing the line and gradient, if you will. So I'm not doing full coverage in any of those sections yet. I'm gonna wait till I get to my finer colors in order to establish that full coverage in those areas. So now I'm going in with Kanoe. This is Peachy Olive Glitter. All of the glitters that I am using today, I will list in the description down below. They are all peachy colors, all absolutely gorgeous, and they really helped this cup come together. So with Kanoe, again, I'm just establishing that blue area, and I'm not making it super thick or super covered. I'm just gently tapping the bottle to just get a little bit of glitter to come out to establish that blue area. Now that Kanoe's away, I'm gonna go back in with Athena and just very carefully try and establish a little bit of blending. So I'm tilting my cup a little bit up at about probably a 30 to 35 degree angle, not very tall because I want to maintain control over the ombre. So I'm just tapping Athena and just getting Athena to very carefully blend into the Kanoe section. After I put Athena away, it's time for me to move back in with Kanoe, and I'm going to flip my cup downward in the opposite direction, again about 30 to 45 degrees, so I can maintain control of the cup the entire time, and I'm going to gently tap Kanoe so that it starts to blend into Athena. So you'll notice I still do not have full coverage in any of my sections right now. Again, we are just lightly covering right now to establish those lines and gradients. That way we know where each color is going to go when we go into the finer colors. With that away, I'm now going to establish full coverage on the bottom here with Gold Member. So Gold Member is a gold colored glitter. It is not a finer cut of Athena, it's just straight gold, but still just gorgeous as is. And what I'm doing, I don't know what that was. What I'm doing is I'm establishing full coverage on the very bottom of the tumbler. You'll notice that I didn't put a whole lot of chunky glitter on the bottom, and that's because when you put chunky glitter on the bottom of your cup, it does make it a little bit harder to epoxy because for whatever reason, chunky glitter loves to stick straight up on the bottom of a cup. So I'm using Gold Member to cover up the bottom as well as to blend upward into Kanoe and establish almost full coverage on the entire bottom section or gold section of my cup. Now we're going to move into our pink sections, and we're using Cool Mom, again from Peachy Olive Glitters. This is a chunkier version of Wednesdays, which I also have, and we're just very lightly, again, establishing that pink section and going around the cup, just establishing very light coverage in that area. I'm going to put my Cool Mom away and get that back in my glitter container. And then we are going to go in with our next color. And our next color is going to be, oh goodness, I forgot what color this is. Bejeweled. This is Bejeweled. I absolutely love this. I feel like since I bought it, I have used this color, I feel like, on almost every cup. So there's a lot of Bejeweled. I'm almost sad. I got to order another bag. So with Bejeweled, now that we have the pink established, we're going to do light coverage into our Cool Mom, which is our pink section, and we are going to establish that gradient in between our gold. So again, tilting my cup not too far because we don't want our glitter to go to the top or very bottom of the cup, but we are just using about a 30 to 45 degree angle so that I can maintain control and establish that gradient line and that ombre in each direction. So you'll notice that instead of going all the way up the cup and establishing my gradients and lines, I like to work section by section, starting from the bottom and then heading upwards towards the top. This, just for me, is the easiest way to ombre a cup that has multiple glitters on it. It's just kind of my way of doing things. You could do it any way that you want. You could establish all the gradient lines and then go and start to ombre. It's kind of your choice, but this is just my preference. So we just went in with Wednesdays, or with Cool Mom again, to establish that gradient back into Bejeweled. Again, we're trying to establish that ombre in between the pink and the blue sections. And now we're gonna go in with Wednesdays, which is the finer cut of Cool Mom, and we are going to finish out that ombre. So what we're trying to do here with the pink is we are establishing full coverage in that pink section, and we are ombreing very gently into Bejeweled to create that purplish hue that we're getting out of the purple and blue sections. So I absolutely love how cute that middle section is, because it does give you those hints of purple, which is exactly what I wanted for this cup. So once I feel like I've gotten enough coverage in the pink section, I'll then move on to our final section, which is the coral section. That way we can finish out the ombre of this cup. So taking one of my favorite peach colors, which is Seacrest Beach. This is just so gorgeous under epoxy. I am going to establish full coverage around the very top rim of my cup, because obviously there is no other color that I have to ombre. The very top, that's the very top. So, and then I'm going to very gently, as I'm out of frame there, apologies, I'm going to try and establish just a fine line of glitter right in between the pink and the coral section. So going now back in to establish my ombre between my pink and orange. This is again Wednesdays, and I'm tilting my cup upward again at that 45-degree angle to get my Wednesdays to blend directly back into my coral color. Now with my Seacrest Beach away, we are going to finish up this cup with Sweet Georgia Peach. So Sweet Georgia Peach is not a finer cut of Seacrest Beach. It's actually more of an orangey peach color, if you will. But it really did help bring the entire coral color together, kind of gave it that soft color. So what we're doing here is we're just blending that on top of the Seacrest Beach and then blending that into the pink. So then what we're gonna do is we'll clean up our glitters, get them back into our shaker containers, and then what I'll do is I'll tap off the excess glitters into a garbage can, and then we can move on to the next steps. As soon as my glitter has dried, I'm going to seal this with clear cloth spray, as well as apply 2 coats of epoxy and then sand the cup until completely smooth before moving into the next step. Now that my cup is smooth, I have washed my cup in the sink with just dish soap and water and then dried completely. I then mixed 30 ml of epoxy, and I have applied about 15 to 20 ml of that onto my cup currently. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to be using some alcohol ink to apply our waves to the tumbler. So right now I'm using my heat gun to pop any bubbles. You can also use a torch. Then I'm going to grab my white alcohol ink from Pinata. Again, everything will be listed and linked in the description below. And I'm going to pour some of the epoxy from my cup into a small medicine cup and apply just a few drops of the alcohol ink. Once I have a few drops in my alcohol ink, I will mix until thoroughly stirred. And then I'm going to use my metal stir stick to apply the white epoxy onto my cup. You are going to see that I'm then going to transition a little bit and use my gloved finger, because I didn't quite like the look that this metal stir stick was giving you. So the other thing that you could use instead of white alcohol ink, and which I have seen works so much better, especially for Milky Ways and doing waves, is using Alumilite's white epoxy dye. It just turns things stark white and really does blend so well when you're trying to put white on your tumblers. It really just is vibrant, stands out, and it doesn't look so cloudy as the white alcohol ink does. So now I'm just taking my gloved finger and I'm just going over those areas where I put the alcohol ink dyed epoxy, and just smoothing those areas out to make it look more like clouds in the sky, as well as kind of how when the waves hit the sand, it kind of creates that foam when the sand and the water meet. So I'm just going to apply this white epoxy until I am satisfied, and then I will let this spin until cured for about 24 hours. Okay, so I've taken my cup off the turner after it has been spinning for a full 24 hours. I did lightly sand the cup because the waves on the cup will create a little bit of waviness to your cup, which is perfectly fine as long as you can pick an area that is smooth enough to apply your decal. So I've smoothed that out. I've again washed and dried my cup, and now it's time to move on to decals. So this decal I actually got from Vanessa over at VMD Designs. She has some great SVGs that I have definitely purchased and used on a lot of different cups. And then what I've printed this image or this SVG on is a gold shimmer vinyl. It's a Cricut brand gold shimmer vinyl, and I'll link that down in the description as well. And so what we're going to do is we're going to apply this decal using the hinge method as usual onto the cup. And you guys know me, I do not like to measure, I just like to eyeball things. And this SVG, like the words are a little bit slanted, so I feel like this one's definitely more forgiving in case I'm a little bit off. I also do apologize, I know that this part and clip of the video is super shaky, and unfortunately this was filmed before I got my brand new Archon mount, so I'm using a mount that mounts to my table, and so every time I move it moves, that kind of a thing. Anyway, if you haven't heard as well, I do have a discount code for anybody who likes to record the different work that they do for 20% off on Archon mounts at archon.com. See the link in the description and how you can save 20% off. So I've applied my decal using the hinge method and then just fixed any of my letters that were sticking up, and now it's time to go into final coats. After my decal's been applied, it's time to move on to final coats. So I have mixed about 30 mLs of epoxy, and today I'm using Amazing Clear Cast Plus, which has some great UV protection. I actually saw this tested in one of the groups that I'm in, and the Amazing Clear Cast Plus stood up very well to long-lasting sun. So I absolutely love using Amazing Clear Cast, and especially their Plus brand, which has the extra added UV protection. That way I can make sure that this is a tumbler that isn't going to yellow over time and will last for years to come. So this cup took about 2 final coats of epoxy, and then it was finally finished. I'm so pleased with how this beach cup came out. You'll have to let me know what you think. I hope you loved today's video as much as I loved making it. If you haven't already, please feel free to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and check back next week for our next video. Bye guys.